Big banks and credit card companies have been gravitating to Salt Lake for decades, but the city's also home to a little-known sliver of the American economy called industrial banking. While it accounts for less than 1% of all U.S. banking assets, in Utah, they account for about 20%, totaling over $200 billion.
Salt Lake, or Utah more broadly, is the capital of industrial banks in the United States.
So what exactly is an industrial bank? To find out, we sat down with Jason Kotter, a professor of finance at Brigham Young University.
For our purposes, two main types of banks here, an industrial bank and a commercial bank. An industrial bank really is just a different form of a bank that allows for a broader type of ownership.
Meaning a normal bank has to be owned by a financial firm, but an industrial bank can be owned by any company who wants one. BMW, for example, a company with no history as a financial institution, opened one of these special banks in Salt Lake back in 1999. The charter allowed the automaker to offer direct financing to its car buyers and their dealerships, eliminating the need for a middleman bank and giving the car company total control over its loan process. There are only about 23 industrial banks in the entire country, and most of them, 15, are located right here in Salt Lake County. Salt Lake first began to emerge as the king of industrial banking back in the 1980s, when a series of changes to federal law favored the few states where industrial banks already had a significant presence.
There were only 7 of those states in existence. Utah was one of them. And then over time, Utah saw that as an opportunity.
An opportunity the local government doubled down on by actively recruiting companies to open even more of them. But you have to go much further back than the 1980s to understand how it all started. Industrial banks first popped up in Utah in the early 1900s, long before credit cards were a thing. For example, back then, a railroad company might start an industrial bank so it could loan cash to its workers for things like medical bills or education.
Industrial banks, they've been around for 110 years. And they were quite small for most of that time period.
Fast forward to today, industrial banks, now called industrial loan companies, are a bedrock of Salt Lake's economy and have since helped other financial services sprout up across the city.
Because they had a number of these banks here, it developed a pretty deep workforce, which made it sort of easy for big firms to jump in and scale up pretty quickly.
It's a unique history that helped Salt Lake rise and emerge as a financial powerhouse.